Okay, so what you got economic desert island basically, and what happens is a manufacturer washes up on the beach, and we're talking about banking. So a banker washes up on the beach, and then let's stick a worker in there as well. A worker washes up on the beach, and so they decide, well, the manufacturer does manufacturing, the banker does banking, the worker does working. So let's get on with it, shall we? So what they do is the manufacturer says to the banker, lend me £100 and I'll get the worker to produce some stuff and I'll sell it as a profit and we'll have a business, and the economy can go around on the island. So the banker says yes, and they get on with that. So what happens is when the banker says yes, I'll give you the loan. This is the banker's balance sheet. It's important to note that you hear a lot of stuff about money in the financial system. It's quite important to just kind of ignore money. It's all about balance sheets. Money is just one part of a balance sheet, and parts of that balance sheet can get swapped to other parts very quickly. And if you're looking at one part of it, you're going to not understand, and you're going to get things wrong. Look at the whole balance sheet and it makes it nice and easy. So what happens is the bank says, okay, I issue a loan. So he opens up a loan account for £100 for the business, and he also opens up at exactly the same time, just part of the same double entry in the accountancy, he opens up a current account for their business as well. Now, whereas you have money, a current account, you go, whoopee-doo, that's my money, that's my asset. The bank has the opposite. If somebody has a current account with a bank, that's a liability to them. That's what they owe you, and so that goes in the credit part of the balance sheet. And their loan, which for you is a liability, yikes, I owe it. For a bank, that's their assets. So that's in the asset part of the balance sheet. So the assets and the liabilities 100, the balance sheet balances. The business, the manufacturer, what he does is his balance sheet at that moment looks like cash at bank, or bank balance, £100, and the loan he owes £100, and his balance sheet balances. So we've managed to curate some money and get the first part of the economy get about ready to rock and roll. Kind of important to note, I'm not including any interest from the bank, so if things go wrong, it's not the banker's fault. There's no government involved in this, so it's not the government's fault if things don't work. I've just kind of like stripped all that away to get to the bare bones, as it were, and see where the problems turn up. Right, so then what happens is the manufacturer here, what he does is he gets the workers to work for him for a week, and at the end of and he pays them £100 to make, I don't know, let's say 100 coconut shavings, or 100 something. It doesn't really matter. It might be one thing or 100 things or 3,000 things, but whatever it is, he's going to pay them £100 to make it. So what he then has at the end of the week is no money, but he does have stock of £100 of whatever he's produced. He still has the loan to the bank. He still owes the bank £100. His balance sheet balances. The worker they have £100 in their bank account, and their balance sheet, it's kind of unusual to have a balance sheet for the workers, for the consumers, because it's just the way it is, unusual stuff. But if we were to call that, to make the whole thing kind of work together and get the stuff balanced, we just call that wealth of minus 100, and we have it as like that's what they owe to themselves as wealth. Kind of a funny little bookkeeping thingamajig, and that's the cash at bank they have up there. So then what happens is that's Friday afternoon. The manufacturer has £100 in of stock in his warehouse. He pays the workers, they'll go home happy on a Friday night. And then what happens, it comes around to Monday, and time for the weekend, comes around to the weekend, and it's time to go to the shops to buy the goods. So then what happens is the manufacturer, he wants to sell his stock at a profit. So let's say he sells it at £1.20 for each unit. He has 100 coconut shavings, whatever they are, and he sells them for £1.20 each. So he sells the first one at £1.20, and he sells the second one at £1.20, and he's doing this all day long. The third one, £1.20, and he goes on and on and on. But the problem is when he gets down to number 83, so that's 1, 2, 3. But just after he sells the 83rd one at £1.20, he looks in his bank, in his cash till or his bank, whatever, if they're paying by card, and he realises he's got £100 in his bank. But then he doesn't sell any more because the workers have emptied their bank account of £100. They have no cash left. So what the manufacturer then has in his balance sheet on the end of Saturday market is he has 17 items unsold. Give or take a bit of rounding difference. So his stock is 17 units, and £1 a unit, that's £17. He then has cash in the bank, 100, and he has a loan still of £100. His profit is 20 pence times 83. His profit is the 17. And then just before closing, he finishes the market at 4:30, gets his £100, runs to the bank, deposits it in the bank, and then says, "Oh, can I pay off my loan?" So the bank manager says yes, and that loan gets cancelled with that cash, and the manufacturer ends up with his balance sheet looking like profit, stock, £17 worth of stock, profit, 17. See the profit use that as a negative, but similar to that wealth thing up there. And his balance sheet balances, which looks okay-ish. Problem is when they come to repeat the cycle next week, the guy is hoping I've got 17. I'm starting the week with 17 units in stock. I'll make another 100 next week of stock, and then I can sell 117 units. I'll make even more profit. But of course, the problem is, if he makes 100 units, he's going to repeat the same problem. He's going to make 100 units. People only have £100. If he's going to sell them at £1.20, he's only going to be able to sell 83 units. He's going to have another £17 in stock at the end of the week, and he'll be up to 34 items of stock. Now, for the first week, his profit will be 32. His book profit will be 34, but he's like, this profit's not much use to me because I can't do it. It's not in cash. It's just building up a stock, which I can't sell. And if you have an economy where you get build up a stock and they can't sell it, then the manufacturer turns around and says, well, I'm not going to manufacture anymore. He'll lay off all the workers, and you'll have an economic recession. And you'll have an economic recession without the government being involved, without the banks charging interest, without the banks doing anything of their usual tricks that banks can do when they're not playing very nicely. But just the basic maths of the financial system will cause an economic crash. So that's the kind of basic issue underlying the financial system that we have. Now, let's go back a couple of hundred years to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and I'll show you just how wonderful this financial system worked at that stage in the game.